World War II. From 1939 to 1945, it was a global conflict that altered the course of history. While famous battles like D-Day, Stalingrad, and Pearl Harbor often dominate the narratives, there were many other battles and events that played vital roles yet remain less known. In this video, we explore some of the most significant yet forgotten battles that helped shape the outcome of World War II. These are the hidden front lines that history often overlooks. April 4th, 1944, the Battle of Kohima, known as the Stalingrad of the East. This crucial battle took place in the jungles of northeastern India. Japanese forces, numbering around 15,000, launched a major offensive to capture Kohima and cut off the British supply route into China. It was part of Japan's broader strategy to invade India and destabilize British colonial rule. The defenders, composed of British, Indian, and Gurkha troops, were significantly outnumbered, with only about 2,500 men initially available to hold the line. The Japanese laid siege to the ridge at Kohima, where the British garrison was surrounded. The fighting became intense, with desperate hand-to-hand combat breaking out at close quarters. One of the most notorious encounters took place over a tennis court, where the distance between the two sides was less than 20 meters. For nearly 2 months, the battle raged on. Both sides faced not only each other, but also the unforgiving jungle terrain and monsoon rains. The Allied forces, bolstered by reinforcements, launched a counterattack that eventually broke the Japanese siege in mid-June 1944. The victory at Kohima was a turning point in the Burma campaign, preventing Japanese forces from advancing into India and setting the stage for the recapture of Burma. December 7th, 1939. In the frozen forests of Finland, the Battle of Suomi unfolds during the Winter War. As part of its invasion strategy, the Soviet Union aimed to cut Finland in half by capturing the town of Suomi. The Red Army, consisting of more than 45,000 troops and hundreds of tanks, faced a vastly outnumbered Finnish force of just 11,000 men. The Finnish soldiers, well adapted to the harsh winter conditions, used innovative guerrilla tactics to their advantage. They employed the Monte strategy, which involved cutting Soviet units into smaller isolated groups and systematically destroying them. The cold weather played a significant role, as temperatures often plunged below -40 degrees Celsius, making survival nearly impossible for Soviet troops with inadequate winter gear. The Finns, on skis and camouflaged in white, launched surprise attacks on Soviet supply lines, further weakening the enemy. By January 1940, the Finnish forces had decisively defeated the Soviet troops, inflicting massive casualties and capturing large quantities of equipment. The Battle of Suomi demonstrated the resilience and skill of the Finnish army and exposed the limitations of the Soviet military during winter warfare. January 17th, 1944. The Battle of Monte begins in Italy. This battle was a critical effort by the Allied forces to break through the German Gustav Line and open the road to Rome. The Germans had transformed the Gustav Line into a formidable defensive barrier, using the historic Benedictine monastery of Monte as a strategic stronghold overlooking key roads. The battle was fought in 4 major phases over several months, involving troops from the United States, Britain, France, Poland, New Zealand, and other Allied nations. The mountainous terrain and the fortified German defenses made every assault a costly endeavor. The Allies launched a massive aerial and artillery bombardment that reduced the monastery to rubble in mid-February, yet the German paratroopers used the ruins to their advantage, turning the shattered abbey into a fortress. It wasn't until May 1944, after weeks of continuous fighting, and the deployment of fresh Polish troops that the Allied forces were able to capture Monte Cassino. The fall of the monastery finally allowed the Allies to break through the Gustav Line and advance towards Rome, but at a heavy cost, with over 55,000 Allied casualties. April 10, 1941, the Siege of Tobruk. Located on the Libyan coast, Tobruk was a key strategic port in North Africa. Axis forces, led by the formidable German general Erwin Rommel, also known as the Desert Fox, launched an assault to capture the town and secure a crucial supply route. Tobruk was defended primarily by Australian forces, who would become known as the Rats of Tobruk, due to their tenacity in holding out against the Axis siege. For 8 long months, the defenders withstood daily bombings, artillery barrages, and ground assaults. The harsh desert conditions took a toll on both sides, with daytime temperatures soaring to over 40 degrees Celsius. The defenders used a network of underground tunnels and bunkers to protect themselves from the relentless Axis attacks. These makeshift fortifications not only served as shelters from artillery and air raids, but also became command centers where strategies were devised and supplies were rationed. The maze of tunnels beneath the desert sands allowed the Allied soldiers to move undetected, avoiding the direct sight of Axis forces while launching surprise counterattacks. Life underground was harsh, with soldiers enduring extreme heat, scarce water, and the constant fear of being discovered or buried alive by collapsing tunnels due to heavy bombardments. Despite being cut off and surrounded, the garrison's morale remained high, and they used their ingenuity to turn the siege into a war of attrition against Rommel's forces. Allied soldiers launched regular nighttime raids, striking Axis supply depots, fuel convoys, and artillery positions. These raids, known as silent operations, aimed to disrupt the logistics chain of the Axis forces, creating chaos in Rommel's ranks. The Allies captured valuable intelligence, weaponry, and even prisoners who provided crucial information about the enemy's movements and intentions. The daring spirit and unyielding resilience of Tobruk's defenders earned them the nickname the Rats of Tobruk, a term initially used derogatorily by Axis propaganda, but soon embraced by the troops as a badge of honor. Their resistance frustrated Rommel's plans significantly, causing delays that extended for months. Each day that Tobruk held out allowed the Allies to strengthen their forces in the region, prepare for future offensives, and eventually stage a larger counterattack. The siege took a toll on the Axis forces as well. Stretched supply lines and exhausted troops weakened their capacity to maintain the siege indefinitely. When the siege was finally lifted in November 1941, it marked not only the end of one of the war's longest defenses, but also a major turning point in the North African campaign. The successful defense of Tobruk proved that the Axis forces could be beaten in the desert, setting the stage for future Allied victories in North Africa, including the pivotal Battle of El Alamein. These battles, though less celebrated than famous engagements like Normandy or Midway, played crucial roles in shaping the outcome of World War II. The struggles at Kohima, Suomussalmi, Monte Cassino, and Tobruk exemplify the diverse and complex nature of the war. Each of these conflicts showcased different terrains, climates, and combat conditions, highlighting how adaptability and perseverance could overcome overwhelming odds. From the dense jungles of Kohima, where soldiers fought for every ridge and trench, to the frozen forests of Finland, where temperatures dropped to deadly lows, these battles reveal the many faces of war that often go untold. The stories of these hidden front lines serve as a reminder of the global scale of World War II, a conflict that was not confined to the well-known theaters of Western Europe and the Pacific, but reached deep into remote and unforgiving landscapes. The men who fought in these battles, often against desperate circumstances, displayed courage and endurance in ways that inspire us to this day. Their experiences add layers of understanding to the complex history of the war, showing that victory was not achieved solely through grand strategies and large-scale invasions, but also through the gritty determination of individual soldiers on forgotten battlefields. The grit and determination of these troops exemplify the spirit of resilience that characterized the Allies' fight for freedom. They faced not only powerful enemies, but also the harshest conditions, such as jungles, where diseases spread more easily than bullets, mountains where each step uphill felt like an additional burden, and deserts where survival itself became a daily battle. Many of the soldiers who fought in these engagements were not professional military personnel. They were ordinary men called upon to perform extraordinary acts of bravery and sacrifice. Their contributions deserve recognition, and their stories should be remembered alongside the iconic battles that defined the war. For every major campaign that is widely studied, there are dozens of smaller but equally important confrontations that shaped the war's trajectory. The battles we've discussed may not be featured in most history textbooks or documentaries, but they were instrumental in delaying enemy advances, exhausting enemy resources, and ultimately turning the tide in favor of the Allies. The courage shown by the defenders in these lesser-known engagements helped buy time and secure strategic advantages that had a ripple effect across the broader war effort. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this exploration of hidden World War II battles, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fascinating historical stories. If you're captivated by the epic stories of World War II, from the Blitzkrieg to the D-Day landings, then there's a book you need in your collection. World War II, the definitive visual history. This masterpiece takes you through every major event of the conflict, with vivid photography, expert insights, and detailed maps that bring the past to life. Whether you're a history enthusiast, a student, or someone who simply loves exploring the untold stories of the world, this book offers an immersive experience that captures the scale and impact of the war like never before. Get your copy today and dive into the definitive guide that unravels the complexity of one of the most significant events in human history. Find the link in the description below.